Yeah, we're here. What's up, guys? It's me. That's the other guy. We're sad or angry. I don't even know what kind of podcast or pregame showers we are today, but man, this could have been and should have been a lot different show. My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy over there is Brooke. Find him as Brooke Me 3. I already know how you're feeling, but how you feeling today, bud?
I've already gone through the range of emotions. Uh,
Like
from really,
twice.
really, really pissed off to just sad and staying up late and being sad about it
I
and
know.
thinking about what could have been and being sad and just being sad altogether.
I know. I saw your sad boy hour tweets. I was surprised to see you still up at 1:30. Then I was like, wait, it's a Saturday night. Remember when we used to be able to have fun and like live our lives on a
I
Saturday?
remember that. Yeah, I was up till like 3. I just kept going back through the game, kept watching highlights,
Yeah.
kept looking at who was out of position, kept looking at whose fault it was. All these things that I shouldn't have been doing that late at night in sad boy hours. And then I woke up and then I laughed because I'm like, isn't that just the most appropriate thing to happen? We
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit. Everything that you could have predicted would happen in situations, it happened. You
Yeah.
looked at it and you were like, oh, this is about to happen. And then it
Yeah.
happened and you're just like, yeah, I saw that coming. And then
Yeah.
to end on that note, um, it was a strange night. And we've already talked about it. We're not going to talk too much about last night. We're going to stick on it for a minute. We want to give you guys a chance to just blast whoever you want to blast, do whatever you want to do, and then we're going to move on. Just like the players have talked about all today. Time to move on.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dig into a few of the comments here. Right off the bat, we got Spencer Macias hanging out on Facebook and saying, "Go Dodgers." So that's what we need. We need happiness. We need positive. Christina on Facebook saying, "Let's go Dodgers. It's a new day. Let's get to work." And like you said, that's the general vibe that the team has going. Ryan Moore backing it up. Let's stay positive, guys. Forget about last night. Understand we still have the better team and can win this thing, which I think is almost exactly what Will Smith said in his pregame interview today. Surely
Yeah.
the Dodgers have the better team. It last night somebody did something to anger the baseball gods because just nothing everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and then it just had this glorious explosion of diarrhea in that final play, which was just like, man, it was impressively bad. And I talked about it on my Twitter today where I really do wish I wasn't a Dodger fan just so I could enjoy that final play, because like for baseball, as a baseball fan, like that whole final sequence was just insane, and you got to feel good for this Spencer, what's his name, Brett Phillips kid. That kid, like, nobody shouldn't have even been there, and he was basically the towel boy on the team, and then made the roster because of injuries and whatnot for this World Series. And you know what? Man, he was so hyped, he was so pumped, he couldn't even breathe after the game. Like, he literally had to go see a trainer just to kind of bring himself back to earth. So great for baseball. Uh Terrible for people like us that don our lucky blue. Whatever works. Remember, keep the rituals going, guys. I loved our boy King Yellowman's comment here on YouTube, pretty early in the stream here. How do you let Baez blow two leads in the same game?
That's one of the things that I wanted to bring up to you. If you're talking about the worst things that happen, there's obviously a lot of really bad things that happen. But between the two, which is worse? Not or pulling Julio arguably too early, or leaving Pedro in for way too long.
Bringing Pedro in to begin with. That situation, time and time again, for 6 years of Dodger baseball in the postseason, Pedro Baez has done exactly what he did last night. He sees runners, other people's runners on base, and he's like, ooh, I should let them score. So he did almost immediately. And, Will Smith, I'm going to throw everybody under the bus. Smith today, talked about how Pedro kind of was shaking off the changeup because he's in there. The changeup really is the neutralizer against left-handed batters, but he was feeling it on the fastball. So Will let him go fastball, and Lau cranked it, and that was the first of two leads he gave up, which is just pretty damn wild. But over the last two postseasons, Pedro Baez has inherited 6 runners, and all 6 have scored. I mean, if this team is analytically driven and you're looking at numbers, you're looking at statistics, does that number not pop out to you as like, hey, maybe this guy doesn't pass the sniff test here? And
I
this
mean, you
is,
talk about the playoffs
oof,
being a different season entirely.
yeah,
It doesn't matter what happened during the regular season. Like we've said this time and time again, you throw regular season numbers out the window when you get to the playoffs. If you're on the roster and you made the roster, this is a new season for you. It's a new chance for you to start over. Most guys who have really, really good postseasons a lot of times don't have the best regular seasons.
mm-hmm.
Derek Jeter was a guy who was built on October. He didn't do anything he was a very average player. And you can argue with me all you want on that, but Derek Jeter is an average player who made his name playing for a big team, winning World Series with a really good team, and being really productive in October. So you got to look at that and say, you got to put those aside. I know the matchup for Pedro Baez on paper, you look at the changeup fading away from left-handed hitters, matches up perfect, matches up really well. You need a ground ball. You need a double play. You need that in that situation. Victor Gonzalez is absolutely available and at one point was up and throwing. And I don't get that at all, considering he's a guy who gets more ground balls than anybody else on that entire team, with the exception of Blake Trinan.
Yeah.
There's just so many question marks that come along with it, man.
Yeah, and like you were saying about pulling Julio early, it's like I understand why. He was starting to get rocked a little bit. He had given up back-to-back, the homer and the single, both over 100 miles an hour. Yandy Diaz coming up and all that. I can understand that, but then everything, all the sequence just really went bad there. And more with Baez and more with Roberts. There's a lot more on that. We don't need to dig into it. There's an article on our website about what Dave Roberts said, which also just kind of irks you. He did take ownership of the situation and Pedro coming back out. So guys, check that out, DodgersNation.com. We'd appreciate it. Go ahead and leave your comments there, being angry or sad, and I will moderate them, or we will moderate them accordingly. David K. Jones right here getting a little bit back in the comments, super frustrated. And yeah, it was a mix of frustrated, anger, disbelief. And I mean, you saw Dave's reaction. He didn't even see the final play because he was like, okay, they tied it. We got this out at the plate because, the dude fell down. Let me look at what I'm going to do next inning. Oh, the game's over. That's basically what happened.
I thought that was weird that he said that it happened. And that was like a second and a half thing that had happened. So like in that second and a half that he saw Randy fall down, he just looked down at his notebook like, all right, next inning. Yeah. I kind of found that a little bit hard to believe. I think he was trying to cover his tracks on why he had that bad of a reaction to them. It was a bad reaction from a manager. Like, that's not a good look, the way he reacted to that.
Yeah, that was...
Obviously, you don't want to see him, smile on that play, but the way he reacted was like, oh, he's pissed. He is mad.
Yeah, that
might have been a little bit of a way to cover for himself a little bit, I think, and that's fine.
That's a good call there. I mean, it was straight human emotion, and again,
that was my reaction, except I didn't spit in my living room.
Coward. I got Claire saying no hate tonight, only love, and I will say we're not hating. We're just questioning some of the decisions. Some people that being for as much Dave tries to put these guys in positions to succeed. You see the numbers with Pedro, so that's not the spot for him. You see Kenley barely trying, starting to come back. You see, and I don't want to get into Kenley really at all, or very much in this, because I want to move forward. That's what we're trying to do. We got a Game 5. It's 2-2 series. That yesterday was yesterday, but understandably, we got to get them hot takes in there. And I lost my train of thought with that, but yeah, just the decisions are wild, and to have Kenley in there, barely having, regaining the confidence. Maybe the confidence is up to like 63% or something like that. And to throw him in there with you're not too far off from the top of the order and all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of only one run. There was a lot of, oh no, why didn't he start or leave Brewstar out for another batter into that inning? He could have gotten the first two, just let Kenley get one out. So, man, again, still just a lot of man. That's all I got. A lot of man.
There's a lot of that. I mean, most games you can look back, especially during a playoff series, and just look at one pitch and be like, oh man, if it just that one play right there, just that one situation, then everything would be different. You look at this game and you're like, there's 7 situations where you look back and you're like, man, just this one thing, if that would happen. So makes it all that much harder. Kate obviously bringing up Kenley's comments after the game. We have an article about that over on DodgerNation.com. Go check it out. Not the best. I'm not going to talk about it because it frustrates me and I don't like it. And it brings up things to me that I don't like about myself. So go check that on DodgerNation.com. Or you can talk about it in the chat and you guys can talk amongst yourselves. Don't mind that either.
Oh, man. Get into the comments again. We got our buddy Kevin in the stream, Mr. former co-host of the show, and he said FRG is a lot of man. And that's a great comment. That's a bell comment right there, and now I scared the dog. Way to go, Kevin.
I think Kevin had brought up the curse of the Dodgers too, and just how it's just there's no other way to put it. Like They're just seem like they have a curse on them. And I think personally, it's the curse of the '88 team that was not supposed to win the World Series in the first place. We're paying for it.
I don't know how teams like the Cubs and Boston and all that survived hundreds of years of this, but I'm not down. I'm just throwing it out there right now. I'm not down. I do want to get to some of the positives from yesterday because there were a few things that we can look at yesterday that still bode well for the series. One, the team did not quit. The batting did not quit at any point. The 2-out run production continued. I think now, so they're slashing over 380 this series with 2 outs. 720 slug. Like they've scored 15 2-out runs in this series, and honestly, that's the only thing that's really been keeping them alive in a way. But it's impressive to see the fight continue, and a lot of that is on the back of Mr. Corey "I'ma steal your girl" Seager. Man, how good has Corey been this whole postseason and now into the World Series?
It's funny that we talked about him last night. Somebody saying that, he's been pretty quiet. He looks pretty cold. And it's just because he hadn't really got a chance to really do much because Tampa Bay was pitching around him so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is he? Is he hitting like 800 in the World Series now or something ridiculous?
500. He's hitting 500. OPS over 1,500. That's
we have his on-base percentage too.
On base 632, slugging 929.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, this is something that you expect. That's a stat line you expect, like, one game into the World Series. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, you had a really good first game of the World Series. Or, yeah, you had one good World Series game. This is now, we're on game 5 now we're going into tonight, and he's still doing what he's doing right now. Do not let what him and a couple of other guys on this team, JT is one of those guys that is suddenly included in that conversation. Don't let what they're doing go to waste. No one is going to remember the losers that performed really well. No one's going to look back in history and be like, remember in 2020 when Corey Seager had a really good World Series? There's a reason why we don't talk about Jock Peterson's 2017 World Series. Yeah, it was a phenomenal World Series. He did great. He probably should have won the MVP during that. No one's going to talk about it. Why? Because we lost. What does it matter? There's nothing to talk about.
And another guy who's doing his best with the bat to help him out. I see Jamie or Jaime Cheese Butt on great name on Periscope talking about Turner turning it on. JT was not lying after game 3. He said he had found something and he's been able to sleep easy that night because he was finally feeling good at the plate, and that was the night where he took Morton deep in his first at bat, got a screaming double down the line in his second at bat. More positive there. Not only is he now tearing the cover off the ball because him and Seager each had a 4-hit game last night, which is a record or some sort of record. Third pair of teammates collect 4 hits as infielders in the World Series, and these records are getting a little too granular and a little too finite for me, but that's just me. But Dodgers all-time home run hitting postseason man dude with 12, which is pretty cool. A lot more at bats than Duke Snyder, but give the clap to Mr. Justin Turner.
Still pretty cool for a guy that was supposed to make the team as a bench player a long time ago. So keep that in mind. It's always a cool thing to look back on the arc of JT's career. It's always fun.
For realsies. All right, a few of the notes. You want to give people the fine notes of tonight's ball game?
Well, I mean, I guess we kind of have to talk about it. I don't know. I don't think the roof really makes that much of a difference unless there's that crazy wind game, which we had to experience. And that one I still don't understand how the roof wasn't closed for that game, considering they were like whipping winds, not just like a slight breeze going through the stadium. But the roof is closed tonight. It is cold. It is sprinkling. It is rain in the forecast, etc. At Globe Life Field. The Dodgers are 1-0 during the series with Globe Life Field closed. Obviously, it's just been the one time during the postseason. 3-1 in 2020 altogether. including regular season, because they played there. I believe that series they played in Texas was the roof closed the entire time.
From what I understand, yes. I think well, if it's 3 games, so yeah, it was closed the whole time.
Right, because they won 2 and lost 1 there.
Yeah, so I would assume. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. That was a stat, a number I saw, but allegedly, 3-1. I don't know if in the division series, was it open the whole time or closed? I'm gonna imagine
it was open. It was open the entire time. They didn't close it until the World Series game, and that was the big question. It's like, oh, all of a sudden you can close the roof now. Like, why didn't you close it last series? Funny thing enough, too, is that it's more fans per game in the World Series than it was in the Championship Series. But yeah, still closed roof, whatever. Game 1 rematch, you get Kershaw going up against Tyler Glasnow. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to look at this. Number one, you look at it from the realistic Dodger standpoint, which is, again, the burden of a big game falls on the back and the shoulders of Clayton Kershaw, which, man, I don't know how many times we had to see this during a postseason, but it seems like whenever we need him in a big moment, we need somebody to step up in a big moment. It's always like, hey, Kershaw's up. Your turn. We screwed it up for you last night. You should be going into this carefree at a 3-1 lead, but sorry. You're responsible for getting us ahead.
Yeah, Kershaw, once again, carrying the burden of 32 years of losing or not championship Dodger baseball, carrying the burden of having to be the stopper after an ugly loss. So he has been a guy that historically throughout his career has been good as the angry win guy. I think, I don't know what the numbers are, but he's won or pitched very well in a number of games where his team has lost, the game before. So a number of things do bode well on the Kershaw side. Helping us keep the faith, as Danny in the stream, my buddy Danny says, we got this. Let's keep the faith. We believe. Last night hurt, but you know what? We got the better team. We're gonna keep doing that. And we got the better guy on the mound. We got the Hall of Famer on the mound against Glasnow. But I'm a little worried about Glasnow tonight because he didn't do quite what he was hoping for in Game 1. You think we see a better, tallest pitcher in baseball right now in Glasnow tonight?
I think the advantage typically falls on hitters during a series like this when you get to see a pitcher for the second time around. Typically it does. I think in Glasnow's case, he is one of those pissed off pitchers who also has the pissed off fastball that comes with it. So, again, I think his pitch mix does not match up well with the Dodgers for him personally. But with that in mind, I think he's going to not have nearly as bad of a game as he. You look back at his career, I think twice in his career he's given up 6 earned runs or more. It's not something that happens to him very often. Granted, it's a short career. Granted, he played for a really bad team in Pittsburgh, but it's not something that happens to him a lot. So to expect that kind of results again, I think is unrealistic. But then you look at Clayton Kershaw and you're like, okay, what do we need out of him to get past Tyler Glasnow, to get to the bullpen that is the Rays bullpen is a little taxed. I mean, they used some of their best arms yesterday. That's not to say that they're not available tonight, because you got a rest day tomorrow and then 2 more games and the season's over. So you got to imagine that they're going to go pedal to the metal with whoever they can and ride them. But looking at it, what do you think you need out of Kershaw tonight to survive this game?
And I mean, if you're able to get what you got out of him in Game 1, that would really that would make you feel a lot better in this. Let's call it what it is. Now it's a 3-game series, so it's best of 3. First of 2 wins, and if you can get that out of Kershaw, you get 6 innings, a run, maybe 2. I think he's going to throw everything he has, unless they really, the Dodgers find a way to get a big lead early, and then he might save some bullets for a potential, relief appearance in. You know how he likes to get those relief appearances in the postseason. So, with the day off on Monday, you could see that. So it's gonna really be based on how the Dodgers come out and score. But if you can get 6 or 7 innings out of him tonight in a tight game, that goes a long way in setting up the rest of this now 3-game series.
Absolutely. You start considering the bullpen game that's on the horizon for the Dodgers too, and that plays into it for sure, because you don't know what you're getting in Game 6. When we get to that, I don't want to look that far ahead because I don't want to be stressed about that quite yet. So we'll just kind of focus on this one a little bit. But
Yeah,
I do think that you're going to see a big difference from Glasnow tonight.
Yeah, that's kind of a question for you there too. So if we do win tonight, and let's knock on wood and apparently knock on mouse pad for that. Dodgers find a way to pull off a win tonight. Do you empty the tank and go Buehler on short rest for Game 6 and try to end it?
Yeah, that's the thing, man. That's the conversation right now. Is do you take that risk? Do you say, hey, Buehler, take the ball. You're going Game 6. Let's get this thing done. Or do you not? Do you want him to go Game 7? Do you want to save him for that big moment? History would tell you that you go for it. You go balls to the wall and just do it. But man, that's a tough call considering you don't have a lot behind him. Mm-hmm. If you do go Buehler a day early, you can justify it by saying, hey, we got Tony and Dustin May behind him, as well as literally every other arm that's available for that day, because that will happen. So personally, I like Buehler going on short rest. I think he's just a dog. I think he's a fighter. He's a scrapper. He's going to want it. He's going to ask for it. I don't have any doubts about that. But then you get into the question too. Well, if you lose tonight, what do you do if you lose tonight? Do you
got to throw him then
throw
too?
Buehler again? Like, Walker, is that either way? Do you throw Walker?
Walker gets Game 6, in my opinion, because you can't go some weird hodgepodge of D-May and Gonsolin again against Blake Snell. The dude won the Cy Young a couple years ago, and he proved that he was angry in Game 2, and he shoved. So you need to match up right, because definitely if you lose tonight, you can't just be like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. You empty the tank there and you figure it out for a Game 7 in that scenario. But I think either way it's going to be Kersh tonight and then Buehler again on short rest, and I think he's going to feel fine. I don't know how many pitches he threw on his last start, which was, when was that, yesterday?
Buehler or Kershaw?
The other guy, Buehler. Was he like 90 some odd?
I think he got into the high 90s on it, though.
Yeah, so he threw a number of pitches, but you know what, man? The dude's well rested. He did not throw all that many innings in an already shortened season.
Right.
He likes to take his breaks in the offseason. We know that, because he never comes into spring training ready to work. Really fighting myself from cussing today, guys.
Good job.
No, it's got to be either way. Walker Buehler is your Game 6 starter. Call it. I'm calling it here first. Somebody brook it. I also wanted to hold on to this comment because I see Jessica over on Periscope says, my favorite player, Crenshaw. I love me some Clifton Crenshaw. He's a nice boy.
Clifton Crenshaw.
Hell yeah. Mess him up, Clifton. Let's find a couple more comments before we get into the lineup. LSD 73 is going bold. Kershaw no hitter. Hell yeah. Just why not? Yeah. I can't imagine him going the distance either way, just in case, because you're looking out in the series and him potentially throwing short rest.
I don't think they're gonna try to get him. No. I think they're probably gonna try to keep him down around 85 pitches, regardless of how things go.
Yeah. Kiwi says, sick of this bleep. Let's lock it down over the next 2 games. That's right. Just stomp them out now. You gave them 2 games in this series in a way, because Game 2 you set them up for success, and then Game 4 you handed them. So play like you're the best team that everybody thinks you are, and you think you are, and you say you are. Play like the best team. Or if not, Patrick here on Periscope says Sandy Koufax has let it be known he has 2 good innings in him for Game 6. So if we can get Koufax on the roster, I mean, 80 some odd year, 86-year-old Sandy Koufax on the bump might take him.
We have Tommy John now, so we can fix that for him.
Jimmy John, hell yeah! All right, let's get into the lineup. We got the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup on the screen, and one important thing that was ultimately proved to be a huge the downfall of the Dodgers was Cody Bellinger not being in center field yesterday. Cody's back in center. Do you feel good about this lineup with Barnesy also at catch?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably that's the biggest thing for me. I know there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I don't want to. The timing of it kind of sucks, just because Will Smith dropped that ball last night, and obviously there's a lot of things that happened in between to get us to that point. So I don't in any way pin that on Will Smith or anything like that. As a catcher, I know when somebody's barreling down on you like that, he thinks that the guy's right on him. He's got to make a quick tag. He absolutely did the right thing there. He thought, I mean, if Randy doesn't trip, he's coming in hot and scoring probably. But he did trip, didn't know that. change things around a little bit. I love Austin Barnes in there. I love how he handles everything behind the plate. His bat is actually not that bad. Unfortunately, he is facing Tyler Glasnow again, which we both know if it's over 95. Oh, excuse me, if it's over 94 miles an hour, Austin Barnes can't hit it, and that's been the case all year long. So hopefully he can lay down a sacrifice bunt that makes a difference or something against Glasnow. I do like that Cody's back in center. Thank God for that. We needed that. Yeah, if I'm gonna have a click to pick today, dude, I think it's gonna be Cody for me.
Cody going dong or getting something done. So yeah, guys, make sure you drop your predictions. Who's gonna go deep? Call your shot. We're going to do that before we end up getting the hell out of here because we got a ball game to watch. I forgot. I guess I essentially went 8-hole yesterday because I went Kike, who got something done, and then I also took somebody else's Jock Peterson. So shout out Jocktober, shout out me. I killed it with my calls. I'm gonna cheat. You know what? No, because I think instead of cheating and going Seager, something that we didn't talk about because we didn't want to dig too much into yesterday's game or that long into it, but Mookie Betts probably had the worst game he's ever had as a Dodger in Game 4. He did nothing exceptionally well. He made one good catch, but an 0 for 5. Leaving some runners out there. He's not going to be happy. Mookie Betts is not going to be happy. He's going to be hungry, and Mookie's going to do some damage tonight. You guys can brook it.
Yeah, it's funny that he didn't do really anything spectacular. Obviously made defensive plays like he always does, but for him to not do anything spectacular in that game to still be like that just tells you how far ahead that the Dodgers should be. Yeah. During this, they should be crushing them, and they're just not doing it right now. So, would be really nice to see a big game out of Mookie. I really like those games where Mookie and Cody just tear it up, and we get those two MVPs doing their MVP thing. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, we're getting definitely the Seager half of it, pretty much game in, game out. But let's go ahead and look at the Rays lineup. The lefty lineup. So you got some righties at the top, a little bit of rearrangement that has thus far worked for Kevin Cash's Rays. How are you feeling about these guys going against Kersh the second time?
Yeah, that makes me a little nervous. Rosarena looked really bad against Kershaw, but seeing him the second time around and seeing him the second time around when he's much hotter and looks like he's picking it up a lot makes me very nervous. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't love it. I don't feel good about it. Obviously, Clayton Kershaw, generational pitcher, once in a lifetime talent, but not looking forward to this one. To be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to watching this one. I considered taking a nap for the first 5 innings.
No, but there's nothing worse than like waking up and seeing the team down 8-0 or something like that, being like
that was my justification for being like, no, I gotta stay in it the entire time because I'm gonna roll over and it's gonna be 16-2 Rays in the third, and I'm like, all right. It's
like staying awake for the whole procedure or all of your dentist work or all of the tattoo. You got to stay there. You can't just show up in the 5th inning of a tattoo, guys. There's your words of wisdom from FRG here on this fine Sunday afternoon. Getting into a few of the called shots, we got Eric saying Justin Turner's going to hit another dinger in the first. Call that one from Eric on Facebook. Carlos agrees with me about Mookie having a bounce-back game. That's what we paid him for. 12 more years of Mookie, so, that's good. Dan is taking to Cody along with you. He's going to go deep. Well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he's calling Cody's going to go deep in the game because he says he's going to go deep with his girl again and hurt his back. But, hey, you know what? Nobody listens to this part of the show.
Right.
Looks down hundreds of people in the chat. Thanks for hanging out, guys, by the way. Shax with a K. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. But if not, I don't care. I appreciate you hanging out. It says Mookie going to go on a tear. Alondra says Mookie goes deep, steals a couple of bases. 4 ribbies out of Mookie. Tina is going with Jock Pop tonight. Jonathan is taking another Mookie. Chris Butera says Brett Phillips is my brother. Well, 1, you tell him congrats. And 2, you tell him that hurt. Thank you.
He's not welcome in LA.
He's not welcome in LA.
But that was pretty cool for him. Yeah.
Oh, man. And the final one, let's see. I want to get one more in here. Somebody says Brett Munson should just admit that he sucks. Apparently, Brett Munson is being rude in the chat. So we want you to know, Brett, you suck.
According to said comment.
And I'm going to end it right here with Jimmy Denson over on Facebook says, "Don't be scared. Kershaw is coming through tonight." Man, we need some vintage Clayton Kershaw. We all need some vintage Kershaw. Let's go, Kershaw. They don't have trash cans. They don't have whistles. They don't have cameras in this game. They can't. We are in a neutral site bubble, so there's no way there could be any foul play. This is your chance to redeem yourself in another World Series game. Keep being World Series good, Kersh. And I think we're going to have fun. I think we're going to have a fun post game, but stick around after the game wherever you are watching this. You can find Doug McCain on our DN post-game show, so we're hoping it's a happy one. Last night, it was not. It was not. And props to Doug for surviving. Ooh.
Yeah, that's rough. It's rough when you got to take a bunch of comments that aren't directed at you, but are filled with a lot of hate and frustrations.
Yeah, so anybody who's out there, good Doug some love for that, because he's been here after every game the same way we're here before every game. So it's been a busy postseason, and hopefully we can get 2 more dubs out of it. Until then, guys, find every bit of Dodgers news that we feel like writing up on DodgersNation.com. It's a website on the internet. We are a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM. All these spots are, I guess it's YouTube Music now or something. I don't know. Just Google us. You'll find us there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV.
Well said, guys. I'm at BrokeMe3. This other guy's at RealFRG. We're both on Twitter and Instagram. We'll both be sad or happy on there tonight, depending on how things go. Go check it out. We're at Dodgers Nation on Twitter, at official Dodgers Nation on Instagram. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. There was a bunch of you in the chat today. We understand you're sad, frustrated, angry, looking forward to tonight's game, whatever, trying to be positive. We appreciate you guys. Go Dodgers. Come right back here, hang out with Doug after.
Bye.
Bye.